Should businesses ditch their agency and bring in their own developers? That's a question actually I've been asked a lot over the years. When you're working with an agency, you're obviously paying probably top dollar, with a caveat which I'll come to in a minute, but you're paying for developers that the agency employs. That agency often has other work, other clients. And over the years, we had a number of clients who've sort of mooted, shall we bring in our own development team? There's pros and cons for it. We had a client who made the decision to do this, where we were providing quite a lot of different services to them. The business decided, having had previous experience of relying on design agencies, they eventually brought in their own designer, and it was great because they could instantly have that design resource on tap. It was a really good decision for them. They've taken that experience and said, can we do that with the developer? It's not always that simple. You think it's going to be faster, it's going to be better, it's going to be cheaper, but there's challenges in doing it. But you think about the sort of projects we do, bespoke, more tailored around businesses. We talk about business discovery, understanding business logic, reasons for doing things, the market, that kind of thing. A website project, it takes a whole team to build a website project. We have the business analysts, we have the digital marketing and UX experience, we have project managers, we have designers, we have content writers, we have front end, back end, and other types of developers, software engineers, DevOps, testing, all those things, and people to train the customer on how to do things and strategy to make sure that when you migrate the website, you don't suddenly lose all your Google rankings.
Even content loading, which is normally underestimated by the client.
Massively. Content loading, and that's not just copy, it can be imagery, renders, that kind of thing for an e-commerce site. So replacing all that experience with one person.
It's impossible.
And what's the danger if you just have one person?
Problem that I see, if you've got an isolated developer, he may get set in his ways, especially if he's working on the same code, and that limits their thinking and imagination.
One of our really senior developers, he'll be hitting a problem, like you say, and rather than just coding into a corner, what he'll sometimes come and do is either talk to another developer. Just by having that sounding board, he'll come to a better conclusion. And then we've got developers who their interest runs deep on these things, and they're spending their own time, because of the enthusiasm they have, researching new technologies and just finding that kind of talent. For us as a development agency primarily, it is really tough. And we've seen so many, haven't we? One company come to us where they'd employed a developer in-house to build them an e-commerce site. And this guy had been there for 14 months and kept giving them progress updates saying, it's going well, we're nearly there, showing them a few things. One day he said, I don't think we're going to be there anytime soon. And then 2 weeks later, he literally just stood up one day and says, I'm sorry, I can't make this work, and walked out. They'd invested 50 grand, that's his wage, into doing it, plus all the lost opportunity from not delivering. Having said that, it can work, but it is a risk. It's expensive, and you need to know what you're doing and have a clear vision for it. It's a good idea to get at least advice and help with recruitment. Failing that, go to an agency that has a proven track record in doing what you want them to do.
Possibly another option is to have more of a hybrid approach, an agency to fulfill some of the roles.
Yeah, that's a really good example. I think that's probably the best of both worlds. Often the outside perspective helps. So if you have that hybrid working situation and you identify where the bottlenecks are. So if you want speed, if you want things done quickly, find out where the bottlenecks are on that and maybe recruit in those areas, but then leave the heavy lifting or the specialisms to the agency that you know and work with and trust.